Okay, so a major part of solving quadratic equations is factoring. And we factor to find our roots, solutions, or zeros, whatever you want to call them. But basically, factoring tells us where our parabola is going to cross our x-axis, okay? So this is one of the most important skills that you will have when solving quadratic functions. In order to be able to factor, though, you need to remember what is a factor. So factors are numbers that multiply together to make a larger number. So if I'm looking at the number 30, 1, 30, 2, 15, 3, 10, 5, and 6 are all factors of 30 because they multiply to give you 30. So when we're thinking about factors, you want to think about them in pairs. So 1 times 30 gives me 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and 5 times 6 all give me 30. Okay? So just a couple examples. So what would factors of 16 be? When you're doing this, it's easiest to start just with 1 and work your way up. So I know I have 1. 1 times 1 gives me 16. So that would be 1 times 16. I know I have 2. And 2 times 8 is going to give me 16. 3, no. 3 times nothing gives me 16. So I'm going to skip that. And 4, I know 4 times 4 is going to give me 16. So when I'm thinking about my factors, these are going to be my factors of 16. And it's easiest if you guys write them like this in a table form so that you have the numbers that multiply together across from each other, and then you just have each pair going down the column. Let's look at 192. I might miss some of these. Alright, this is a larger number, so we're going to have a lot more factors. So I'm starting with my number 192. So I'm still going to start with 1. So I know 1 times 192, right? And try 2. So it'll be 2 times 89, 96 will give me 192. I'm going to try 3. 3 times 64 will give me 192. If I try 4, 4 times 40, 16, 32, 48. Try 5. 5 is not going to work because your number doesn't end up in a 0 or 5. I'm going to try 6. Would give me 30, 32. 7, will 7 work? 6. I don't know about 7. Let's try it anyway. So 192. And if you don't know, if a number is going to, if you can multiply a number, just divide, because division is opposite. So if I don't know what multiplies to 7 to give me 192, I'm just going to divide 192 by 7. So 2, that would give me 14. That's what I've been doing this whole time. 52. How many times does 7 go into 52? And you want them to go in evenly. So 7 cannot go into 52 evenly, so 7 would not be a factor of 192. Try 8. So 8 times 2 would give me 16. 32, so that would be 4. So 8 is a factor of 192, and that would be 8 times 24. So you choose, so these two numbers add up to give you this middle number. Alright, so as we're getting smaller, so the closer our numbers get to each other, the sooner we're going to be finished, right? So I'm going to keep going though, because we're not done yet. So now let's try 9. So that would be 2, 18, 12. That's not going to work. That would get 9 doesn't go into 12 evenly. 10's not going to work because it doesn't end in 0. Can try 11. I don't think that's going to work. Sorry, this is taking a while. That goes in 1. 82, nope, 11 doesn't work. 192, we can try 12. It goes in once. 12 minus 19 is going to be 7. 72, I'm pretty sure that works because I think that should be 16. So 12 times 16 is going to give me 192. And like these two numbers are pretty close together, so I doubt there's going to be any more, but I want to just make sure. So 192 divided by 13 pretty sure that's not going to work. 62. I don't think 13 can go into 62 evenly. Nope. Let's try 14. 52. 4, 16, no, 5, 0. Nope. Alright, so I think we're finished here. Alright, so these are my factors of 192. So it's a lot of them. I wrote them in pairs, so you know, multiply cross. Alright, so I think that's enough factoring. So you get how to factor. When we're factoring quadratics, though, we're going to need to know how to find the greatest common factor. So that means I should be able to find the factor of two numbers, and the largest number that they both have in common is going to be my greatest common factor. So these two numbers, they both have 1 in common, but they also both have a 5 in common. So I'm going to choose a 5 because that's larger than the 1. Alright, so now we're going to take 16 and 32. So first you want to start by finding the factors of 16 and finding the factors of 32. The factors of 16, 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4, okay? And my factors of 32 are 1 and 32, 2 and 16, 4 and 8, sorry you can't see that, and I think that's it. Okay, so now that I have all my factors of 16 and 32, I want to find the greatest common factor, so the greatest number that they both have in common. So they both have a 1. Oh, did not mean to do that. Alright, they both have a 1, a 2, a 4, so I'm going to highlight these two. 1, 2, 4, they both have an 8, and they both have a 16. So my greatest number that they both have in common is going to be the 16. So my greatest common factor here would be 16. Okay? You guys can pause and do that one on your own if you want to. Alright, so now you guys need to know what a binomial is. So a binomial is just, it's called a polynomial, which is just a set of numbers with two terms. So a term is what's separated by a plus or minus. So because it has two terms, it's called a binomial. A trinomial then has three terms, right? The first term is going to be squared, the second just a variable, and then the third term is just going to be the number. So when we're factoring now, we're factoring a trinomial into two binomials. So we're just going to turn this trinomial into two of these that are going to be multiplied together. Alright, so I'll show you like how this happens quickly, and then I'll go through and explain. So if I have x squared plus 3x minus 4, when I'm factoring this, it's like there's a 1 right here that we can't really see, right? So I'm going to multiply this 1 and this 4 together, so that's going to give me 4. So then I'm going to find the factors of 4. So I know that's 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. I need the factors that are going to subtract to give me 3. So 1 and 4 subtract to give me 3. So I'm going to make two sets of parentheses. So these are going to be my two binomials. And in the first spot, I'm going to put an x in each spot. And then in the second spots, I'm going to put the numbers that I circled, the pair of factors. So 1 and 4. And then my first sign is going to go with my larger number. So that means this 4 is going to be positive. And a positive times a negative is a negative, so that's going to be a negative in there. Okay? So now the reverse of this is distributing and multiplying the two binomials together to create a trinomial. So when I do this, I'm just distributing to both parts. So it used to be called FOIL, where you do first, outside, inner, last. So I'm going to multiply my first numbers together. So x times x is x squared. And then x times 4 is going to be 4x, so that's plus 4x. And then my inner, negative 1 times x is going to be negative 1x. And then my last number is negative 1 times 4 is going to be negative 4, right? And when I combine my like terms, it's going to be these two. So positive 4x minus 1x is going to be positive 3x. And I'm back to where I started, right? So that's how those two things work together. So now let's take some notes on how to factor. So these are your steps. First you multiply your A and C, so your first number and your last number. Then you want to choose your pair of factors that does what the second sign says, so whatever the sign is. So it's either going to add or subtract to give you your B value, right? Your middle number. Then in your parentheses, you put an X in each set of parentheses along with the numbers, the factors that you chose from step 2. Okay? You put your first sign with the largest number and multiply the two signs together, and that's going to go in your other set of parentheses. Alright, so I'm going to do one more example and then we'll be finished. I'm going to do one with a number in front. Okay? So if I have 7x squared minus 31x minus 20, first step is to multiply my A and my C value together. So 7 times 20 is going to give me 140. So now I need to find the factors of 140. So it's going to be 1 and 140, 2 and 70, not 3. Yes, I'm using a calculator. So 4 and 35. It's going to be 5 and something. 5 and 28, I think. Yeah. Not 6. So 7 and 20. Oh, this is a 28, by the way. Swap it. Let's try 8. No. 9, no. 140, 10, and 14. So we're getting pretty close to being done. We might actually be done. 11 doesn't work. 12 doesn't work. Alright, so yeah, so we're done. So these are my factors of 140. Now I want to choose the pair of factors that's going to subtract to give me 31. So those don't subtract to give me 31, neither do those. These do though. 35 minus 4 is 31. So these are going to be the pair that I choose. So I'm going to make my two sets of parentheses, putting an X in both spots. This is not a good example because you can't factor this regularly actually. Crap. Okay. We're going to go back to a different one. Alright, so this method of factoring, I'm messed up. This method of factoring only works if you don't have like a number right here. So if your A value is 1. I'll teach you guys how to do this the right way because you're going to have to use a box method. Like this part is still the same, but we'll do that later. Okay, so let's go back to this one. My bad. Okay, so I'm multiplying my first two together. So that's, it's like there's a 1 there. So 1 times 18 is going to be 18. So now I'm finding my factors of 18. So that's 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, right? So now I need my pair of factors that's going to subtract to give me 7. That's going to be 2 and 9. Now I'm making my set of parentheses, put an X in both spots, put a 2 in one spot, a 9 in the other spot. So my first sign is going to go with my larger number, that's the 9, and then a negative times a negative, I'm just multiplying these signs together, is a positive, so that means that's what's going to go there. And it's as simple as that, right? So another example you guys can try on your own. And that's it for factoring. I'll show you guys how to do the box method, and there's something called the quadratic formula that you're going to need to use in another video.